preface this by saying I used to love solo camping. I'm a 32-year-old woman, fairly independent, and I always took precautions, texting friends my location, keeping a knife and bear spray in my tent, the whole 9 yards. Nothing ever made me nervous. Until last summer, when I went on what was supposed to be a 3-day solo trip up in the northern part of Michigan. There's a stretch of dense forest along the Manistee River. Beautiful, quiet, not too trafficked. I'd been there once before with an ex, so I knew a couple good off-trail spots where you could set up and be totally undisturbed. The first night was perfect. Cool air, no bugs, clear skies. I made a fire, cooked up some food, read a book, and fell asleep to the sound of crickets. Sometime around 2 or 3 a.m., I woke up needing to pee. My fire had gone out, but the moon was bright, and I didn't bother with my lantern. Just slipped on my boots and walked a bit into the woods. That's when I saw it. A second campfire. It was maybe 200 yards out, just visible through the trees, flickering faintly. That didn't make sense. There was no one else up here. I hadn't seen another car for miles when I arrived. And this fire wasn't there earlier in the evening. I squatted down behind a tree and watched for a while. I didn't see anyone move around it. No voices, no signs of life. But it gave me a really uneasy feeling. I finished my business and hurried back to my tent, locking up tight. I told myself maybe it was another camper who rolled in late and knew about the area. But something felt off. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning I decided I'd pack up and hike a little deeper into the woods, just in case. I didn't want to be paranoid, but I also didn't want to camp that close to someone who maybe didn't want company. It was a rough hike, muddy, uneven terrain, but I found a good new spot on a ridge that overlooked part of the river. Set everything up again, built another fire, and tried to shake the nerves. That night, around the same time, 2:30ish, I woke up again. There was no sound, like complete silence. No crickets, no owls, not even the wind. It was so quiet, it made my ears ring. I sat up, feeling this heaviness in my chest. And then I heard it. A twig snapping. Slowly. Deliberately. Too close. I reached for my knife and unzipped the tent just an inch. I didn't see anything at first. Just trees and dark. Then I noticed movement. Not from in front of me, but beside me. Near my old camp. That fire was back. Same spot as last night. Same flicker. Still no one around it. But this time, there were footprints around my fire pit. My new one. I hadn't made those. I would have seen them. I'd cleared the leaves before setting it up. Someone had been walking around while I slept. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Just stayed zipped up, holding my knife, counting every small sound. When morning hit, I packed everything and left. I didn't care about the trip anymore. But the scariest part wasn't the fire or the footprints. It was what I found when I got back to my car. A note, folded and stuck under my windshield wiper. It just said, "Nice spot. You shouldn't camp alone." No signature. No other cars in the parking area. Just that note. I haven't camped since. Let's not meet. Let me just start by saying, this isn't going to be some big, cinematic story. No demons, no ghosts, no missing kids. Just something that happened to me a few years ago when I lived alone, and that I still think about every time I walk past a dark window or hear footsteps behind me. Back in 2019, I moved into this small apartment complex on the outskirts of a college town in Virginia. I was 24 at the time, fresh out of grad school and working my first solo job. The building was nothing fancy, just a dull brown block of units with one narrow hallway down the center and doors on either side. There were 2 floors, and I was on the first, Unit 105. It faced the back alley, which meant I didn't get a lot of sunlight or noise, which was fine by me. I liked the quiet. For the first couple months, I barely saw my neighbors. It was winter, so most people stayed inside. And I didn't socialize much anyway. But there was one neighbor I always noticed, even though I never once spoke to him. The guy in apartment 104, directly across from me. I only ever saw him at night. It was always the same routine. I'd be coming back from work, or the gym, or running out to grab food, and I'd see his door cracked open just a few inches, enough to see the outline of someone standing inside, in the dark. He never turned on any lights, never said a word, just stood there. At first, I assumed he was smoking, or letting his cat out or something. But it kept happening. Every time I passed, there he was, standing still, watching through the crack. I didn't want to be that paranoid neighbor, so I didn't report it. I just made a habit of unlocking my door fast and getting inside. Then, things started getting weirder. One night I came home around 11 p.m. after a late shift. The hallway was dead silent. As I approached my door, I noticed something strange. The door to 104 wasn't just cracked open, it was wide open. No lights inside. No sound, just black. And I swear to God, as I passed, I saw a pair of shoes just inside the doorway. Like someone was standing there, completely still, right out of sight. I didn't stop to look. I got in, locked my door, and stayed up for hours, just listening. Nothing happened. The next morning, his door was shut again. I brushed it off, told myself I was imagining things. But then I started noticing little changes. My doormat was moved once, just slightly, like someone had nudged it with their foot. Another time, I came home to find a single key on the ground in front of my door. No tag, no label, just a plain old silver key. I picked it up and tossed it on my kitchen counter. It disappeared a few days later. I don't know how it vanished. One weekend, I had a friend named Tyler over. He was crashing on my couch for the night, and around 2 a.m., he decided to step outside and smoke. I was half asleep when I heard him come back inside fast, lock the door, and then just stand there in my living room like he was frozen. "Dude," he whispered, "what the hell is up with your neighbor?" "What do you mean?" "The guy in the hallway. He was just standing there, didn't say a word, just stared at me the whole time I was smoking. I said hi, and he didn't move, not once." I didn't say anything. Tyler stayed up all night. He left in the morning and never came back. After that, I started hearing noises. Not from the walls, from my front door. Scraping, like metal on metal. A slow dragging sound, like someone was running a key or a knife along the surface of the door frame. I started sleeping with a chair propped against the knob. It felt stupid, but it helped me sleep. Eventually, I told the building manager, a tired woman named Angela, who'd been working there for years. I explained everything. The open door, the staring, the noises. She just sighed. "You said 104, she asked. "Yeah." Another sigh. "That unit's been vacant for over a year." I laughed, thinking she was messing with me. "No way. I see someone there all the time." Angela looked at me, dead serious. "No one's rented that unit since the guy who used to live there left. We've had it sealed for maintenance issues. Mold or something. You shouldn't even be seeing the door open." I wanted to argue, to tell her everything I'd seen, but something about her tone made me stop. Later that night, I got curious. I wanted proof. So I stayed up until after midnight, lights off, watching through the peephole in my door. Sure enough, around 1:30 a.m., 104's door creaked open. Slowly, quietly. I pressed my eye to the peephole, and I saw him. A man, pale skin, dark hair, hanging low over his face, wearing what looked like a dark hoodie and jeans. He stepped out just slightly, into the hallway, and turned to face my door, like he knew I was watching. Then, he smiled. Not a friendly smile. Something too wide, too deliberate, like he was trying to copy what he thought a smile should look like. I stepped back, heart pounding. When I looked again, he was gone. Door shut. Hallway empty. That was the last night I stayed in that apartment. I called out of work the next day, packed up, and slept in my car until I could crash at a friend's place. I broke my lease a month later, paid the fee, didn't care. Before I left, I made one last trip back during daylight, just to grab some stuff I'd left behind. The hallway felt smaller than I remembered, dimmer. I glanced at 104. The door was shut. No sign of life, seemingly anywhere, but it still radiated off vibes to me. So, strange man that was in apartment 104. Let's not meet again. I used to deliver pizzas back when I was 19. It was just a summer job while I was home from college. Nothing glamorous. Just a little extra cash and all the soda I could sneak from the fridge. This happened during my second week working for a place we'll call Luigi's. It was a mom and pop shop in a quiet suburb outside of St. Louis. Mostly regulars, lots of repeat addresses, decent tips. But one night I got sent out for a delivery that didn't seem weird at first, but still sticks with me years later. It was a Friday night, maybe 9:30. We were slowing down for the evening, and my manager handed me a single order. Large pepperoni, no drinks, no extras. The ticket didn't have a customer name, just a number. That wasn't totally unheard of. Some people didn't like giving names, but the address was in this kind of half-developed part of town. You know those weird stretches where it's like someone meant to build a neighborhood, poured some foundations, threw up 3 or 4 houses, and then just gave up? That kind of place. Half streets with no lights, empty plots, a weird kind of half-suburb. I didn't think much of it at the time. Plugged the address into my phone, grabbed the pizza, and drove out. The house was one of maybe 4 on the whole street. The others looked abandoned, tall grass, no lights, boarded up windows. This one, though, was lit up inside. Not warm light. It was cold and too white. like those fluorescent bulbs you find in hospitals. There was a single car in the driveway, a sedan, dark color, no plates. Again, I'm thinking nothing of it. Just weird rich people, or someone building out here to get away from the city. I get out, walk up to the door, and ring the bell. No answer. I wait a bit, then knock. Still nothing. I start wondering if maybe they're in the bathroom or on the phone when I hear the sound of a deadbolt sliding. The door cracks open about 4 inches. I don't see anyone at first, just the inside of the house, bare walls, no pictures, no furniture, not even curtains. Then a voice says, real low, "You're early." I blink. Sorry? The door opens just a little wider. I can't see their face yet. The hallway is dark. The voice speaks again. "You weren't supposed to be here yet." I hold up the pizza. Large pepperoni. Nothing. Just silence. For like 5 whole seconds. Then, leave it on the porch. I'm already creeped out, but I've had weird customers before. I set the box down and back away a little. "Cash or card?" I ask. A pause. Then something that really freaked me out. "Do you see anyone else here?" I froze. It wasn't angry. It wasn't threatening. Just flat. Like they were stating a fact. I backed up more, toward my car, trying to play it cool. "No, I guess not. But the total's $13.75. The door stayed cracked open, no movement. Then, they asked, still in that same flat tone, "Did you tell anyone you were coming here?" At that point, I didn't even answer. I turned, walked briskly back to my car, and got in. Didn't run. Didn't want to make it obvious I was scared. But I locked my doors the second I was inside. Before I drove off, I looked back toward the porch. The door was wide open, but there was still no one there. No sound, no movement, just that open doorway. I peeled out of there fast and drove straight back to Luigi's. When I told my manager what happened, he just kind of shrugged. Said maybe it was a prank. Said I shouldn't have left the pizza if they didn't pay. I didn't care about the money. I just didn't want to go back. The next day, I was off. I still couldn't stop thinking about that house. Something about it felt unfinished, like I wasn't supposed to see what I saw. So I drove back during daylight. When I pulled up, the door on the house was still open. I got out of my car and approached the house and looked inside. I remember the rays from the sun lit up the inside of the house, allowing me to see everything inside. Or the lack thereof might have been a better way to describe it. There was no furniture inside. The wallpaper seemingly crumbling to dust due to lack of maintenance and age. Overall, the house was definitely abandoned. No question about it. I remember leaving that house with more questions than I had answers. Who was that man? Was he planning something nefarious? I'll probably never have the answers. But I do know this. Man from the pizza delivery. Let's not meet again. ...